A lot of topics and not a lot of time left, so I'm going to try to do a speed round here. Do you support the work that Elizabeth Warren is doing, and what are you doing about the still questionable issues of Wall Street and the banking industry?
No, listen, I supported the Wall Street reform bill, which is right now having a tough time getting implemented because a lot of these Wall Street banks and commodity traders are suing the federal government to stop these regulations from going into place. Go back to that issue of gas prices. Oil prices are manipulated in part by these commodity markets. The Wall Street reform bill puts limits on the amount of money that can be traded on these commodity markets to try to slow the upward pressure of prices, and the commodity traders have sued the federal government to stop those from going into effect. That can be said of a number of other parts of the Wall Street reform bill, including efforts by a lot of the district courts to, in fact, strip the power away from the federal regulators to implement the bill even before it's gotten to that point. I just ultimately believe that we didn't solve this problem because the banks in this nation are still too big to fail like they were before this crisis. And we've got to have a serious conversation in this nation about whether we have truly fixed the problem. Now, we just had a stress test about a week ago in which every bank passed with flying colors, despite a weak economy. And despite other underlying problems that many others identified in those banks. And so I think we've got to have policies that strengthen local community banks, that strengthen credit unions, so that they can try to acquire the kind of market share that would ultimately allow them to compete with the handful of large banks that still control far too much money in this economy. So I won't say that I agree with every single thing that Elizabeth Warren has ever said, but I certainly support her efforts to try to stand up for consumers and to try to crack down on some of the continuing abuses and continued fragility of our banking system.